From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Lawmakers in Helena still trying to sort out just how to manage legalized marijuana in the Treasure State. What to do with the tax money will generate. Coming up, next steps as the clock winds down on this legislative session.
I'm Mike Dennison in Helena. Why are Republicans in the legislature going after the judiciary's emails?
Well, good morning. It is Tuesday, April 13th. How did we get to April, guys?
I have no idea.
I know. But does it feel like April, Matt? that is up for you to tell us.
I think yes. This is pretty typical weather pattern. You may not like it.
Right.
It is a little below average, but we're going to even things out by the weekend.
It's better than 30 below, man.
It's happened before.
I believe it. I believe it.
Temperatures into the teens and 20s this morning. We do have a little bit of cloud cover sticking around for the early morning, but it is a crisp and beautiful start to the day. Highs should be into the mid to upper 30s. You may see some 40s in parts of the area, but that brisk east to northeast wind will make it feel much cooler than that. So you need to bundle up. We'll talk about how much or how many layers you're going to need in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Matt. Well, 3 major bills on how to implement legal marijuana sales in the state are now in the hands of a special legislative committee.
Legislative leaders want that committee to put together a single proposed bill by next week. DN's Jonathan Ambarian has the details.
On Monday, the Montana Senate's new Select Committee on Marijuana Law held its first meeting. It starts what will be a busy week as they start narrowing down what a final marijuana reform proposal could look like.
At some point we have to end up with one bill.
Senate President Pro Tem Jason Ellsworth, a Republican from Hamilton, is chairing the committee. He says members will hold hearings on House Bills 670, 707, and 701 through Wednesday. On Thursday, he hopes to narrow their options to 2 of those, and they could choose one bill to move forward by Monday.
And everybody says, well, what bill will that be? Certainly have no clue because it is up to the committee. And I am just one vote out of the 12 members that we have sitting on there.
Each of the bills would set up a distinct system for legal marijuana sales, and they would use sales tax revenue very differently. Lawmakers have talked about combining parts from multiple bills into one.
I think each one of these bills has a piece that can play a part.
Ellsworth says he's confident the committee can put together a single bill that lawmakers can support.
I don't think anyone's going to sit there and claim 100% victory. It is about compromise. It's about working together and accomplishing what we need to do for the people of Montana.
The governor's budget office estimates that recreational marijuana sales in Montana could exceed $200 million by the 3rd full year. That could bring in up to $40 or $50 million in tax revenue for the state. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Now, Ellsworth said the committee will also hear a presentation Thursday from the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration about issues other states have seen in rolling out recreational marijuana.
Other state headlines: the NCAA has released a statement expressing strong support for transgender athletes.
Statement indicates that if Montana lawmakers pass House Bill 112, NCAA championship events, including the FCS playoff football games, would not be held here in Montana.
HB 112 would block transgender women and girls from participating in competitions designated for female athletes. Now, the House has rejected the Senate's amendments to the bill that would have voided the law if the federal government decided it violated federal anti-discrimination rules. Sponsor John Fuller, a Republican from Whitefish, says he wanted to change the amendment so the bill would not become void until the state went through a full appeals process against the federal government.
Now, the House and Senate will now have to appoint a conference committee to work on a final version of that bill.
Republicans at the Montana legislature, with the help of the Gianforte administration, are taking aim at the state's judiciary, attempting to show that judges are biased against certain pieces of legislation. Now, over the weekend, things escalated to the point that the state Supreme Court squashed a subpoena that GOP leadership had used to obtain scores of internal emails from the court's administrator and some judges. MTN's Mike Dennison tells us more about where this battle is going.
The dispute started more than 2 weeks ago over a new law passed by Republicans to give Governor Greg Gianforte broad power to appoint new judges. Republicans uncovered an email from one of the judges deciding whether this law is constitutional, showing he had earlier declared his opposition to the law. That judge stepped down from the case, but legislative Republicans then asked for a trove of internal emails from the judiciary to see if other justices had expressed opinions on the law. They also issued a legislative subpoena last week to the Gianforte administration, which began providing the emails in its role of administering the state's IT system. That's when the Supreme Court stepped in on Sunday, blocking the provision of further emails and ordering arguments on the legality of the whole process. Democratic lawmakers on Monday denounced the effort, calling the GOP actions an unprecedented attack on the judiciary. State Representative Lori Bishop of Livingston said Republicans already control the executive and legislative branches and now are trying to intimidate or influence the judiciary, which has blocked GOP attempts to enact unconstitutional laws.
They are now going after the judicial branch and trying to get them to do their bidding as well. And I think the public should be concerned when someone is trying to have that amount of control and going after the very body whose job it is to try to be a check and balance.
Democratic Senate Minority Leader Jill Cohenauer on Monday also asked the Gianforte administration to release its communications on how it decided to obtain and release the judiciary's emails. But late Monday, the state attorney general's office, which is representing the legislature in this dispute, said the legislature will not follow the Supreme Court's order to stop its acquisitions of the emails. Lieutenant Attorney General Kristen Hansen said the legislature will redact sensitive or private information before releasing the content of any further emails it acquires. Of course, we don't know how this case will turn out regarding the email accounts of judges and justices. But when it comes to determining the constitutionality of executive or legislative acts, the current courts still get to make that call. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, Mike tells us most of the emails released so far have shown judges and judicial staffers expressing their thoughts and opinions on bills before the legislature, which affect the judiciary.
Staying in the state capitol, a Senate committee has advanced the multi-billion-dollar bill that authorizes spending of Montana's share of federal COVID relief funding. The bill includes hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure and money for schools, healthcare initiatives, and local governments. Democratic State Senator Pat Flowers of Bozeman tried to remove a provision that says local governments will have their awards reduced by 20% if they have stricter COVID-related health requirements than the state.
It seems absolutely unnecessary and kind of strangely punitive. So those counties that are trying to address their problem, we're going to punish you for how you're trying to address infection rates. And that's certainly not consistent, again, with the overall direction that we're getting from the American Rescue Plan.
But his amendment failed on a party line vote with Republicans against it. Osmundson said the 20% reduction would apply only on certain grants and in limited circumstances.
Well, as you get your COVID-19 vaccine, be on the lookout for an email message about your shot. Is it legitimate? Consumer Report John Materis has a warning, so don't waste your money.
If you're like many people, you may have already received your COVID vaccine or you have an appointment to get one. If so, beware. Scammers may be about to target you. Jack and Renee Grady were thrilled to get their second Pfizer vaccine shot a few weeks ago. That evening, they got an email from Pfizer at their Butler County home.
It just happened on the day that she got her second vaccine.
They figured it was a follow-up to her shot.
It said Pfizer study at the top, your opinion survey, you can earn money.
But Jack and his wife got suspicious. They hadn't heard of Pfizer giving out money. Good thing they questioned it, because the Better Business Bureau is now issuing a scam alert about these surveys.
They follow what's happening in the news, and vaccines are a very hot topic right now, as we know. So people may feel compelled to give their opinion.
The BBB's Sarah Kimmerer says any survey from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, or Moderna are most likely scams. She tells me victims are asked to give a credit card.
And of course, the victims' cards were charged not only once, but multiple times.
It's similar to past survey scams involving Walmart and other stores. The Gradys are glad they took a closer look and discovered a strange return address.
You take that second look and you look, well, who sent it?
And deleted the phony Pfizer survey. None of the vaccine makers are handing out cash, so don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, MTN News.
Now that is interesting. I've also gotten and heard of other vaccine-related text messages. that you just,
Well, let's make it super easy. No one's going to give you money for nothing.
what he said.
So delete
Ever.
it. Throw it away.
It's too, if it sounds
It's not
like
gonna
it's too
happen.
good to be true.
Nobody's
it
going to give
is.
you money for nothing.
Don't do it.
No, and I won't even charge you for that. How about that?
There we go. And we've said our piece this morning. All
For
right,
now.
well, maybe. Well, coming up here, you're probably noticing that gas prices are nearly $1 a gallon higher than they were a year ago. Well, coming up, find out what the AAA is saying about the chance those prices will go down soon.
But first, here's Tony DeCopa with a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, protesters gather for a second night in a row after the deadly police shooting of a black man in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The mayor joins us to talk about the unrest in his city. And high school teachers talk to us about what the pandemic has cost their students academically, and also if they've considered giving up teaching themselves. And best-selling author and Robin Hood Foundation CEO Wes Moore discusses racial equality and his vision to move forward as a country. All that at 7.